What is up, podheads? Back with another episode of the Podioslave podcast. My name is Tony, and I can't make it on my own, so I'm here with Anthony. How you doing tonight, man?
Oh, wow. Too soon or not soon enough?
Too corny? Too soon? Too dad jokey? I don't even know what to say. I mean...
No, I'm good. That was great. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, great, all the above. In prep for this episode, I was thinking about a question to ask of you because
all right.
I don't know the answer for me. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to deflect to my friends here.
I like it.
So you remember a couple weeks ago, we prompted the Heavy Hex guys with like, what's your Mount Rushmore Long Island albums? What's your Rushmore songs of the early aughts? Of like scene, we'll call it scene bands. You can call it emo, screamo, Warped Tour bands, whatever. Songs. What's your Rushmore of songs? Do you want to hear mine?
Yes. Well, I'm thinking about it.
And here's the challenge. I only have 3. So my 3 are Taking Back Sunday, Q without the E. That's has to be on there. Thursday, Understanding in a Car Crash. 3, and these aren't in order. This is just how I'm going through it. Hawthorne Heights, Ohio is for Lovers. And I don't have a 4th. I'd have to really think about it. Maybe the Used, Taste of Ink, like realistically.
Yeah, that's up there.
Yeah. You know, and I was thinking about it. It's like, you have to put Ohio is for Lovers. And, little preview spoiler. We do get into the backstory of that song with JT here in maybe 20 minutes or so. All-time banger, still holds up. Hit you back then, still hits you now. Everyone knows it. When it plays between songs at concert, like between bands and at concerts, like the house music, everyone sings. Everyone sings.
Yeah. That song is certainly in my Mount Rushmore. I would say You're So Last Summer from Taking Back Sunday.
Oh, she said don't.
Yeah, I mean, the Flavor Flav in the video and all that stuff is pretty wild. Damn, let me think here. Maybe Understanding in a Car Crash.
Yeah. I think something from them is there, and I feel like it has to be that.
And I've probably got something from Brand New. I'm not sure what. It could be Quiet Things. It could be, all of Devil on God, as we mentioned with the boys from Heavy Hex a few weeks ago. That's my favorite record from them. So yeah, it's in that world. And I could, talk to me tomorrow. I might change out 3 of them for another one. But I think Ohio is for Lovers doesn't go anywhere. I think that's on there every time you ask. So
yeah. So we're recording this after we just had the conversation with JT. So we're still like kind of processing the whole conversation with JT. And he did give us, there's probably a good 5 or 10 minutes talking about Ohio is for Lovers and getting into the Silence in Black and White, probably 15 minutes actually. So it's definitely fresh, but it's, it's a banger that still resonates. And JT was great, man. He was awesome.
So much fun. Yep.
We reminisced about early time seeing him, the Silence in Black and White. We get into the 20 Years of Tears tour, which they're going to start in June, ends in September. Full U.S. tour. They bring out all their friends, right? Thursday, Seos and Amberlin, Stick to Your Guns, This Wild Life, I See Stars, you name it. Cartel, stacked lineup. Some big boy venues too. Like there's a lot of great venues. And then we also get into the Is for Lovers Festival, which that's their brainchild. That's Hawthorne Heights' brainchild. Like, I don't know. We've talked to a lot of promoters. Most of them say like they don't even enjoy the day of, right? It's a lot of work. So for Hawthorne Heights to take that on too, it's admirable. It's for love of the game.
Yeah, and you can hear that in the conversation coming up here. I think JT tells us, and you'll hear it a few times, that he gets to do this still, and it's more of a I get to do this. I'm so excited that I'm on stage, I'm smiling, I'm playing these songs for people that are still vibing with them 20 plus years on. That's a good way to go through life, and a good way to be about your pretty massive success from the early 2000s and still doing it today. Like it's not a thing that you get overnight. Clearly, it's been 20 years and they're still doing it, but to kind of come at it with these different tours and the Is for Lovers Festival and going out on this massive tour with that inside of it, it's an undertaking, and it's going to be a blast, and there's no excuse for you to miss it. because it's going to come near you somewhere, wherever you are listening to this. If you're in North America, maybe not much of Canada, but if you're in the US, you're going to get something from this. So you should definitely go check it out.
Yeah, Is for Lovers Fest. There's dates in Lake Tahoe in June, West Virginia in July, Outer Banks in July as well, Illinois in July, Iowa, California, Ohio. And one thing we do hit on is Hawthorne Heights, they're not the headliner. Like, that's a selfless thing. Like, there's All American Rejects, Yellow Card, Under Oath, Motion City Soundtrack, Hot Mulligan Thursday. So there's legacy acts. There's people that are at the top of their game now. Man, chatting with JT was meant to be, and there's some deep cut stuff in here that you can't miss. And that would only come from us. I mean, let's be real.
Right. So yeah, let's get into it right now with JT Woodruff.
JT, how we doing tonight?
I feel pretty damn good, to be honest with you. I'm living life at 70%. I don't want to go higher or lower than that.
Perfect.
That's pinned. That's right where you want to be.
I've actually never thought about that. Like, what's the sweet spot?
70,
hey, man.
Yeah. If you want to live life at 100%, you're going to feel like a failure every day of your life.
That's fair. Yeah.
70, passing grade.
It's passable. I love that.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah. C's get degrees, as they said in college, right, Anthony?
You got it.
So JT, we just met about 5 minutes ago, but that wasn't the first time we met. And I know you don't remember, but how's that for a little teaser?
I like that.
About 20 years ago, this was after you guys got signed, but before the Silence in Black and White came out. You guys played a little town called Portland, Maine.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that? Do you remember playing?
I absolutely remember that. I remember Jake would have been there, and I can't remember who the promoter's name is. Anthony, maybe. But yeah, I absolutely remember that. Portland was like a little miniature emo gold mine for us for like about a 18-month period. Like I remember playing tons of places, from anywhere from like the pool hall place that had all the pool tables. Yep. Yeah. The station. We did the arena with Fall Out Boy, Port City, baby. I like every. Oh,
that's right. Yeah.
Every moment up there. We love it.
Rest in peace to Port City. We lost Port City during the pandemic, unfortunately. Yeah. Such a cool venue.
Yeah. Well, memories are exactly that. They're good things.
Yeah, you guys played a venue called the Big Easy. And at that point, I think Silver Bullet was out. And I think maybe one other song. And I was like, I'll check it out. And I remember, the reason I said I met you, I remember going to the merch table and I bought a hoodie. See if you remember this one. It had a hatchet on it. Remember the hatchet?
Absolutely. Name written in blood.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was, the print on it was like this big.
Yes.
It was like a little, we called it a meat cleaver because of that. A little miniature meat cleaver. It was hilarious. When we got those printed, it was like, right before a tour, and we were expecting it to look like, big and screamo and like blood and shit everywhere. And we got it, and it ended up looking exactly like Hawthorne Heights looks compared to screamo. Just this little guy. But yeah, I absolutely remember that. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I have great memories of Portland. I'm not a poser. I remember Animal Suit Drive-By. I'm not going to mess around here.
All right, yeah, that's a good pull. That's a good pull from Maine.
That is a. Oh, actually, I'm going to put you on the spot. What name did they change their band name to?
Man, I did used to know this, and I know that they went from ska-ish to the Killing Moon.
The Killing Moon. Wow.
Damn. Nice.
If you had the Killing Moon on your bingo card tonight in this episode, then you won. You just won the episode.
Absolutely. I'm known for my tremendous emo recall, but yeah, I love music. I love bands. I remember almost everybody that we played with, but just because, like when you rise and fall and ebb and flow your entire adult life in the music community, you got to love it. Because if you don't love it, you will hate it as much as you'll hate anything else in the world. So, but yeah, Portland, what a beautiful city, man. I love it there.
That's our home, man. We born and raised just across the bridge in South Portland, which, you know, really creative name for a town. But yeah, we love it too. And we had our first real summer day here today, so we're sweating our ass off in Southern Maine. We're excited to talk to you about the tour, but you just said something that kind of piqued my interest, and I think it's the same for really any walk of life. But like you said, living in the music world for as long as you have, I would imagine there's a million ups and downs, and you've had probably all of them. What kept you coming back to it?
I think the easiest answer for that to me is if you ever have anybody tell you that anything that you've written from inside your head with no help has ever touched their lives and kept them on this planet, it does a lot for you. You know, in like that reciprocal music relationship has always been enough for me. You know, I kind of look at it like anything, you know, like any sort of career, you're going to have rises, you're going to have falls, you're going to, you know, it has to ebb and flow. There's going to be wonderful parts of your life, and there's also going to be average, mundane parts of your life. And then you're going to experience tragedy at the same time. And that really is what life is supposed to be. And I think that's why I love living at 70%, because 70 ain't 20 and 70 ain't 100. You know what I mean? So, like, you know, when you get to a certain age and have been doing the same thing that you love forever, it's just so much fun that I think that it's impure to be pissing and moaning about playing rhythm guitar and singing for a living. You know what I mean? Like, it's beautiful. I can't get enough of it.
And I bet you get that a lot with fans saying, hey, this moved me. And I was just thinking, like, most high profile people don't have that impact. Actors, athletes, you know, they're not reaching out to them saying, hey, you know, you inspired me to stay on this planet. Like, it's pretty amazing, really.
It truly is. And that's why I'm so drawn to this music scene. That's why I'm so drawn to anything that can be considered emotional, anything that, like, music is supposed to be emotional. It's supposed to move you to tears or to laughter or to wrecking the mosh pit, like all these things that you're supposed to get everything that you can out of it. And that's why it's so beautiful. That's why that relationship is so precious. And that's why, you know, we're constantly just trying to be, I guess, careful curators of this theme that we grew up in. You know, there has to be like some sort of curator, like at a museum or something like that. You know, like, we just want to make sure that these memories stay around forever. We want to make sure that these fans stay around forever, because the way that I always looked at it is, you know, when we were growing up and our parents were introducing us to their favorite bands, they were typically the Beatles, the Stones, the Beach Boys, Led Zeppelin.
Yep.
And they definitely weren't telling you that they were losers for listening to that music growing up. But there was a time where that was considered fad-based music or phase-based music, because rock and roll hadn't happened yet. You know what I mean? Like the hippie movement or the counterculture movement and stuff like that. Like, I consider all of this the exact same way. I just think that all of our generation we're just so sarcastic and snarky and funny that it comes across in a different way. But yeah, you would never catch your parents going, dude, we're such losers. Remember when we went to that Led Zeppelin show
Right,
in
so
1970?
So true.
You know what I mean? But we would be like, dude, I saw Fall Out Boy in 2004. Remember how dumb my hair was? It's like, yeah, that's all part of life and love and everything. And it's like, you should always listen to what you've always listened to and have a very broad musical taste. I always tell people, like, you know, because we're like a big tongue-in-cheek band, because we'll take it on the chin and we'll dish it right back out. And, you know, somebody will say, they don't realize it's a backhanded comment, but they'll be like, dude, I used to listen to you guys in high school. And I'll always throw it right back. I'm like, well, now that since you're a big adult, what do you listen to now?
Yeah, right. What changed?
Yeah, and they never have an answer. It's like, yeah, dude, I'm serious now. I listen to Taylor Swift. I'm serious. You know what I mean? I'm like, you don't like music anymore. That's totally fine too.
It's different. Yeah.
but yeah, it's just funny. It's, we're universally approachable by our fans, so like we'll just be hanging out at a VIP or a merch table or something like that. Somebody will say something, and since we're kind of like quick-witted, we'll throw it back on them. They'll be like, "Oh, I can't believe I just said that." I'll be like, "You did." But yeah, it's all in good fun, and it's all funny.
Yeah, you're having fun with it, which is, I mean, that's the way to approach it. And I think being amenable to having a good time and understanding that people are going to say stuff that maybe they don't mean as a backhanded compliment, but it comes off that way, and have a little fun, turn it back on them. Why not? That's the way I like to live. So I'm with you there.
So exciting time for you in Hawthorne Heights. You got 20 Years of Tears tour. It's the 20-year anniversary of the Silence in Black and White. For a lot of people, including myself, it was that era that we were introduced to you guys as a band. So to celebrate that record, you guys are playing it in full?
Yeah, we're playing in full all summer long, for better or for worse, is how I like to put it. Because for like super fans who have like stayed in that mode, it's like, man, I haven't heard them play so many of these songs in such a long time. Because you release 5 or 6 albums, and you gotta touch on the quote unquote hits. Every once in a while, you get to pick something for yourself. You got new music, stuff like that, or whatever. But now is the time to like deep dive and play, whatever deep cut tracks or whatever you want to call it. We always joke because we're idiots, and we put Ohio's for Lovers track 8 on our album. So Ohio's for Lovers is a deep cut. I
always thought that, JT. I was like, why'd they do that? Oh, it's to get you to listen to the... No, it's smart.
Idiots. We are idiots. But yeah, so we're playing it all summer, and we're really, really excited about it. We just got done with this tour that we created called the Behind the Tears tour, and it was really just about breaking down every song into a story about what it was about and what we were going through at the time, and then also kind of interweaving bits and pieces of our career, because like fans don't realize it, but they revise history. They like think that they went to bed one night listening to Sum 41 and woke up the next day listening to Thursday, but that's not really how it happened. You know what I mean? Like it was more gradual than people think, going from the early 2000s of like Blink-182, Sum 41, and all music kind of sounding like that. Good Charlotte, being really like poppy, upbeat, positive stuff like that, and then just you skew it just over a little bit, and you come into Newfound Glory and Saves the Day and stuff like that, and you just keep skewing it a little more, and then that's when you really start touching stuff like Thursday and Taking Back Sunday and The Used and Story of the Year, and then it really explodes, and there becomes like a lot of different movements and scenes and everything like that. And that's why it was really cool from our point of view to be involved in all of it, because fans really just see that little piece of their bedroom that they were used to seeing.
Well, and it's kind of wild that the record's 20 A, B, it was a debut that went gold in that time frame. Like 3 years earlier, yeah, that makes sense to me. But as the industry was starting to really deal with the internet and piracy and all that, for that to go gold is pretty fucking wild.
It's absolutely insane. It's definitely something that we did not plan on. Obviously, we put Ohio's for Lovers track number 8 on our record. We're not brilliant. Yes. We weren't even going to put that song on the record. I wrote the lyrics to that. Yeah, I wrote the lyrics to that one night when I was in an argument with my now wife, who is Nikki FM. It's a real thing.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah, so I was getting yelled at by our producer basically all day, every day, because I didn't have the lyrics to this song yet. And we're like, dude, this song sounds like Silver Bullet. We're not even going to record it. It's the same chord, same key. It doesn't sound anything like it. But when you're an idiot musician, you think, oh, it has the same intervals on guitar. It must be the same song. You're dumb. Yeah, so I just write the lyrics one night when I was getting yelled at by the producer. Nikki called me on the phone on my little, I think it was a singular wireless brick phone.
Of course.
And, it was about midnight, and I just got yelled at all day. And now she's yelling at me, being like, oh, man, you've already been gone for 2 weeks. I'm like, dude, can I just, fall asleep tonight or die? So I'm like literally sitting there scratching out all these lyrics. And I write that song in about 15 minutes. And I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm not thinking, dude, I got it. This is prolific.
Really?
People are going to love this. No, I'm absolutely just writing myself out of an argument. And, and so we go into the studio the next day, and the producer's yelling at me again. He's like, your singer is unprofessional. He still doesn't have the lyrics and the melody. And I'm like, first of all, of course I'm unprofessional. This is our first record.
Right. Yeah.
Literally, by definition, I am unprofessional. You're supposed to be leading me here. And so, the story goes, he's yelling at me, and I go, wait, I actually finished the lyrics last night. And he's like, you wrote every lyric and every melody last night at midnight. And I go, yep. And he goes, all right, prove it. He hits the space bar, and I sing, I Can't Make It on My Own Because My Heart Is in Ohio. He hits the space bar again and goes, fuck, that's pretty good.
Wow.
And, I record the vocals in a half hour. Song is done. We still don't care. We put it track number 8 on the record.
So hold up. You said going in, you maybe didn't know the impact or legacy. I mean, no one could have predicted this, let's be honest. But now that you've created it, so like the record came out in June 2004. So like May 2004, all the stuff's getting ready for it. You had to know, like, there's a banger, JT. You had to.
Dude, this is the most hilarious story, I'm telling you. And it's really fresh in my head because I really, really went back in the encyclopedia of Hawthorne Heights and remembered all this stuff that I've been, pushing down forever. So we get our first real tour offer. Victory forces Silverstein to take us on tour as the opener. It's Silverstein, Alexis on Fire, and Emery, and we're playing first. And we're making $50 a night, by the way. $50 to do that tour. And it's, sold out. Everybody's like, the scene is really starting to sizzle. Silverstein's doing really well at the time. Great band. And, they're reluctantly taking us on. Then we become friends and everything because we're normal. They're normal. And everything was cool. First 2 weeks of the tour, no Ohio is for Lovers.
You didn't play it?
Nope.
Wow.
Didn't play it.
Wow.
Wasn't planning on playing it. Who cares? So the fans start coming up because now, the internet's starting to pop a tiny bit at this point, and
a little bit.
We're dinosaur ages here, man. I'm talking pure volume. I'm talking mp3.com.
I thought of mp3.com actually today because I think I got it from there.
Yeah, so stuff like that. And so fans are starting to come up, and we're just at the merch table hanging out. Fans are coming up. Man, I drove 4 hours to see you play at 5:30 today. And I was like, that's awesome. How have you even heard of us? And they're like, dude, why didn't you play Ohio is for Lovers? And I was like, whoa, how have you heard that song? We haven't put it out, nothing. And they're like, oh, dude, that song's on LimeWire. I listen to it every day.
Yep.
And I'm like, whoa, holy shit. So people keep requesting it. And then, on an off day, we just go in this, we figured it out, sit there. We weren't rehearsed on it or anything. We got to rehearse it up really quick. And the rest is history. Like literally, we haven't not played it since that moment.
Every day. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you got to think that our record didn't come out. It came out June 8th, 2004. We were on that tour pretty much all through May. And then it came out the last 2 weeks of the tour. And, the internet was starting to pop, but it wasn't like now, it's over. Somebody finds out about it, blows up on TikTok. You better hold on to your, seat and get ready. But yeah, back then everything was like, we were just happy to be on tour. We would have paid $50 to be on the tour because that's how much fun it was.
Right.
And so we do it, and then people keep listening to it and keep listening to it, and everything keeps growing and growing. And yeah, it's totally wild, man. Nope. We thought Silver Bullet was the one. That's the reason that we got signed. That's the reason that all these labels were interested in us. That was the song we were concentrating on in the studio. We were like, as long as we don't fuck up Silver Bullet, we'll be all right. And that's why we were putting so much focus into it. And to be honest with you, I think we kind of fucked up Silver Bullet. I think it's too slow. The demo that we turned.
You did slow it down. The demo's faster.
Yeah.
I remember that in the moment.
The demo is a lot faster. And it sounded more like kind of chaotic, a little bit more Iron Maiden-y even, because, like we were just dumb kids. So instead of slowing it down, we slowed it down too much and kind of tried to make it a hit. I don't know if that makes sense because, like no one's riding with us or anything, but like, we were just like, oh, well, how about if it's a little bit slower, people will be able to sing it more and stuff like that. I think, maybe the producer had a little bit of hand in that or whatever. But yeah, so we were just like, oh, we got Silver Bullet, man. We don't need this other one. Who cares? And little do we know. And I always say, man, the fans decide everything. You can act like the bands are cool. You can act like they get it and they're all this shit is planned. My Kim, you can say that with. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they had a very calculated career. They're wonderful artists. They think of every last detail, and it's beautiful to see it come to life. A lot of bands are just like pretty good at capturing moments and writing their songs, and then the fans are like, nope, that's the one. That's the banger. And then you gotta be prepared for that. And like the smart bands will be like, okay, fans like that one, done. They picked it. Let's go. Or, if you're kind of an arrogant band, you'll be like, nope, I'm going to play what I want to play.
Ooh,
and then
yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's a
Then
tough road,
stuck,
man.
yeah.
I'm telling you, that is a tough road. Oasis can have that road.
Right. Yeah.
I'll take the fan-friendly road, and I'm happy living that life.
Well, that's why we're talking to you right now. I mean, because you took the fan-friendly road. Did you, I mean, in the moment, obviously you're having a moment when the song starts to turn, people start to hear it, people start requesting it. But probably can't imagine that you saw this 20 years later, doing this tour, still going, that song being iconic, a Mount Rushmore song of the genre. Pretty wild.
Not at all, man. Like I said, we're I think one of the reasons that it's cool for us is because we were just so obsessed with music and the music scene and like loving playing shows, and like that's why we do stuff like Is for Lovers and 20 Years of Tears instead of doing the standard route of just headlining and picking 2 or 3 smaller bands. Like we're always trying to bring the party. We want to bring as many other like-sized bands along because we don't care about the headlining accolades or anything like that. We think that the finances eventually catch up to you anyway if you put on cool events and shows like that. Yeah. We're a really DIY band. We print our own merch. We schedule our own shows. We post on our social media. So honestly, like we don't have to earn as much as some bands do because our overhead is Ohio based, not LA based or something like that. So that's why like the ego kind of never got there. It's always like, yeah, if we're similar sized, who cares? You want to play last? Play last. You want us to play last? We'll play last. Like within reason, obviously. Like you don't do like crazy things, but like most of these bands that are still around and still like whatever you want to call it, like pillars of the genre, all roughly the same size when you really look at the stats and numbers. And then there's a couple of heroes that are like, platformed past a genre and like we're able to capture a larger moment than that, and that's beautiful to see too. But everybody else is roughly the same. We don't need to compete. It's always better together than apart. And most importantly, what fan doesn't want to see a Hawthorne Heights Thursday and Berlin bill? That's crazy. Or throw Season in there, throw like all these bands that are like have been friends and playing together forever. As long as you can get like the economics to line up and everybody gives a little and takes a little, it's the most wonderful job in the world because you get to hang out with your friends, you get to watch bands that you love. It elevates everybody's game because if you're playing with a band like Silverstein or Bayside, they're always going to put on an incredible show, and you got to elevate yourself as well. And it's like iron sharpens iron or whatever, you know what I mean? You get enough of all these bands are out there, and you'll notice that you see the bands smiling because it's effortless. Like the hardest part about being on the road is how mundane it can be, waiting the other 23 hours of the day to play or after the show or whatever, missing your friends and family back home, the regular life stuff, missing your pets, things like that. If you can do this all with a smile on your face, it melts away. The fans get every drop that they want, and they have a good taste in their mouth. They come back and they just know that you're doing it because you want to be doing it, not because you have to be doing it. That's the most important part of all this for us personally as Hawthorne Heights is we still enjoy it as much as we always have. And we're just pretty standard, regular, easily impressed dudes. Like I said, show me the Green Day poster. I'll smile every time.
Yeah, there it is right there.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
Tony asked you what keeps you coming back. I mean, that's what keeps you coming back. And
Yeah.
20 Years of Tears, you said a word, JT, in there. It's a party, and it is a party. Like, there's Icy Stars in there, Stick to Your Guns, This Wild Life. Like, there's something for everyone, and it kicks off in June, wraps up in September. Full U.S., right? Full U.S.?
Full US, almost every city in America that you can possibly play, and then one little Canadian show near Toronto in a little town called
Nice.
Pickering that I've never been to. But yeah, so I guess you could call it a North American tour if we want to get technical about it. But yes, it's 99.8% USA, and we're going to as many places as we can. We'll get yelled at by the fans because they don't know what we have in the works. Like
Oh, yeah.
the Pacific Northwest always gets dinged, and we're like, dude, just hold on a minute. Las Vegas, we're like, dude, we're playing When We Were Young. You think we're double dipping? Hold on a second,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So everything like that, we're playing every place that we're legally and contractually able to play. And our only rule for this 20 Years of Tears tour was we want to play as many dates as we can because we wanted it to throw back to 2004 when we were just in a van fucking around, not having anything on the horizon other than wanting to play shows. We wanted to see if we could do that at this point in our lives and career. And we also really just wanted to get as many bands and people that we enjoy being around and that we like their music. So, we gave tons of bands offers. Some already had stuff going on, some it just didn't quite line up. But, we got a lot of the people that we wanted. And then a couple, kind of came in late, and I was like, yeah, that could be cool. Icy Stars, we've only done Warped Tour with them. We're not like close friends with them or anything, but it's cool. It's a different vibe, different part of the scene. I thought that was a cool moment in there. But This Wildlife, always thought that they're kind of in the bracket a little bit younger than us. And but I've always been super impressed with how they run their band and how they're really DIY. We all, as a band, love Stick to Your Guns. We met them on Warped Tour in like 2013, I think, and just always really hit it off with those guys. Good people. They do their band for the right reasons. They don't make any sense on this tour other than we love them and we want our fans to love them too. Yeah, great show, great people. And then, you got all the friendship bands, Anne Berlin, always going to put on a good show. Great dudes, love to be around them. Seosin, just a massive record for us was when that came out in their EP. Really loved their EP when it was starting to pop on Smart Punk, before we were a signed band. Just we have history with all these bands. Thursday, hugely influenced by Thursday early on, even though we don't sound anything like them. I really, truly think that they pushed the genre as far as it can go in the moodier, artsier side of when punk and emo and screamo and all that stuff collide. I think that they 100% do it very uniquely. And I just love the band. I think they're awesome. I think they're, if I can watch them every night, Thursday, bring it on.
Oh, hell
Let's go.
Hey, whose idea was the name? Who thought of 20 Years of Tears?
Me.
Oh, dude,
Nice.
it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, man.
Wait, were you in a fight with your wife at that time? In brilliant.
Not this time. All roads lead back to Nikki FM.
There you go.
But yeah, I was really just brainstorming about how much fun we had on When We Were Young and how much fun we had during doing Is for Lovers and just hang out with our friends. And I'm like, what if we could get as many as we could to do like an amphitheater style tour, kind of like hair metal bands used to. That was kind of I grew up listening to hair metal. You can't tell that at all, but my favorite bands, like when I first started to love music as a little kid, were like Def Leppard and Poison, Guns N' Roses, like all those bands. And then when I first entered adulthood, like in my early 20s, it was their time to like kind of hit the circuit again and play like the amphitheater style tour. You get 3 or 4 of them together. I remember that in the early 2000s. So I was like, why can't we do that with emo? Why can't we just try and get a bunch of bands together instead of everybody just trying to all play House of Blues on a different night of the week?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was kind of the vibe. And it was like, who can we get? Who's available? Who wants to you got to kind of give up your headliner to do something like that. And, some people they planned 2 years out. So it's like, yeah, that would have been awesome. But dude, I've had this thing booked for a year. And it's like, okay, I get it. I'll go watch you, but you can't do this. So that was kind of the vibe. And I was just sitting there thinking, 20 years, we've already done a 10. We kind of did a 15. What can we do to kind of crank it up a notch? And that's, when I was kind of running through all the tropes in my head, because we're like fine being tongue in cheek to a degree, but not an embarrassing degree. You know what I mean? Like there's a moment where it's too far. And then there's, like it goes from, you want to go from Royal Tenenbaums funny, not like Scary Movie funny. You know what I mean?
So
like,
good. That's perfect.
A great point.
Yeah.
You're in on the joke, but the joke isn't about you,
Exactly. And like, it's like looking back at the past fondly and realizing, some of that stuff, maybe that was a little too far, or, maybe we would make different decisions now, but always fondly. It's all about looking back fondly. So that's where 20 Years of Tears came from, because, like there's been so many happy tears and so many sad tears from all of these bands and all of these bands. That was kind of my angle with it, like the triumph and tragedy of careers and lives.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite way to put it is almost every person who discovered this genre for the very first time. It was not called emo then. It was not called screamo then. That came from some sort of genius marketing article or something like that. And then there was a long time where everybody was like, don't call me that. Hell no. And then, you come back around another 10 years later and it's like, yeah, that's how you identify that. And that's cool. But yeah, 20 Years of Tears. It's awesome. Like every fan that was into the genre at any point really probably struggled in high school on some major severe things, or also just some things that they thought were really serious at the time. And the most important thing is that we're all still here together, and we can all still get in these rooms and sing and remember fondly all the mistakes we made, all of the times that we got it right, and, all of our relationships. Sometimes you're remembering fallen band members or fallen family members or stuff like that. But the thing is, we're all in the room together because we're all in this life together. And that's kind of the whole building point of 20 Years of Tears, is like, just come out, have a good time. Most of these are outdoor venues intentionally, just trying to show people that, like, if you want to sit down, you can sit down. If you want to bring a blanket, you can do that. If you want to be in the pit, you can do that. All of this stuff, just trying to push the genre farther than anybody really thought it could go. Because all these bands, we all grew up playing rental halls. We all grew up playing basements, churches, any place that would have us.
The Big Easy, Portland, Maine.
You got
downstairs, tiny little room. Yep.
Hell yeah. So that's the best part of it all. And I think that really is what it comes down to. That's why it's like, you can't really be bummed about any of this, man. It's a good time. You got to smile, because if you don't smile, you'll cry. And you want to cry happily, not sadly, Yeah,
right.
Yeah. We're going to have fun. It's going to be a great time.
I appreciate you saying that some people will be able to sit down if they want to, being 20 years out from that time frame where standing for, 4 or 5 hours wasn't as big a deal. Now it's like, I wouldn't mind sitting down for 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
In that vein, what are you, you mentioned obviously dusting stuff off and playing all of it from Silence. What are you like, man, how are we going to pull this off from that record?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's a good question.
I think for us, it is because we'll play for about an hour and then we'll have a co-headliner that'll play for about an hour as well. And then everybody else, we'll kind of sprinkle in your half hour, 40-minute set, stuff like that. It's what can you add that is not on the Silence in Black and White in your little allotted time? Me, I like to talk to the crowd as much as I like to perform with the crowd because I think it's necessary for what we do as a band to be a beacon of hope for those who need it. How much of that can you fit in and how concise can you be? And then how many can you fit in for you? And I think what we're going to do is we wrote a song about this entire 20 years of our lives. And we played it on our Behind the Tears tour. And it's been one of the only songs that we've ever looked out and been able to see people like physically crying about what it's about.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And to do that 20 years in, and you can tell when people hear certain parts of the song and hear certain lyrics, what they're connecting with and stuff like that. So I think we're going to try and squeeze that in somehow. And it's a slow, like Tom Petty, Bruce Springsteen style song. It's not an emo song in any way, but it's emotional and as emotional as we've ever written. So we're going to try and sneak that in there and see if the fans go for it and want to go on that journey with us. That's the most important part. Is like throwing in a new song is always kind of whack. You know what I mean? Like when you're doing like an anniversary set or a throwback set,
sure,
revival set, stuff like that. But we're trying to find, that's what we're working on right now. How do we work this in? Where do you put it? Where do you put it where it's an intentional momentum stopper, not a unintentional momentum stopper? You got the crowd like roaring and then you're like, all right, dudes, we hate emo now. We're going to play the, you know what I mean? You got to do it in the right way.
Break. It's a bathroom break.
Here's the river.
Yeah. Go buy a beer, buddy. So yeah, it's just trying to figure out a way to work it into the crowd the best possible way, because lyrically it's for everybody who's been on this journey with all of these bands. It's written exactly from that point of view. It's written about the band that we grew up in, and it would have been on that Portland, Maine tour. Like every time we went there,
Amazing.
We would have been driving this band. It's about the stories and people that we've met, people that we've lost and stuff like that. So we're looking forward to trying to work that in there and then trying to figure out like, what can you do? Because we're not really a production band. We're not really like a band that has like pyro and lights and shit like that. We're like a band that like kind of gives it to you straight, tells you a story about like what you might be going through or what I was going through. And then we get off the stage. You know what I mean? So like trying to level that up a little bit is what we're talking about right now, because you just want people to feel like connected in other ways. Because, when you're thinking about what you got to do at work tomorrow or how your kids are doing with the babysitter and stuff like that, you really want to make sure that they're giving you their time as much as they're giving you anything. And you guys know how it is at this age when you got like 100%. Real life responsibilities.
Oh, yeah.
You can't go to 5 shows a week like you used to, but you were doing that all throughout your 20s, going to every show you could. Now people have to be selective, and we want to make sure that we're showing them that we're appreciative, that you could have done anything tonight, you could have done anything this month, and you chose to come and support all these bands. So that's kind of what we're working on. And, obviously you can't play Ohio is for Lovers, track 8 in your set. We'll hold that one to the end.
Smart.
I apologize.
Spoiler alert.
I apologize. But you know what? Ohio is for Lovers goes last, baby. That's just how it is.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Well,
because of you. This is all your fault, by the way.
So massive tour. The lineup is insane. Celebrating a very, very special record. And Tony said something earlier that the album has an accolade that very few from your ilk have. And I think just maybe Taking Back Sunday, Tell All Your Friends has. it's a gold record. And you know how I know it went gold?
No.
This guy right here.
Nice.
Yeah.
This guy right here. You didn't see that coming, did you?
So Anthony's holding up for the people in their cars right now that can't see the video. Anthony's holding up a gold record, a Hawthorne Heights gold record right now. Yep.
Yeah. RIAA certified. I'll tell you after how I have it.
All right. I like that.
You didn't see that coming, did you, JT?
Absolutely not. I only see them. I only see them every once in a while, and they all have a ridiculous story because I very rarely see them with the name attached to the person that's showing me.
Well, I'm one of those then. I'm one of those.
All right. Well, these are usually very good. I will tell you that the story you have to beat is our ex-drummer, Aaron, his ex-wife sold her gold record of her parents. And a fan brought it to the show, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is hilarious!" Because
I don't have that one. Let's put it that. I don't have that.
But maybe I'll know the person that you have, and then and if it's the person that I want it to be, maybe I'll be trading you my name for that.
There you go. Yeah. But it really is like that. It defied everything, and that's not to discount the music. The music earned every ounce of it. But you had to be the cream of the crop to even sniff that. That's the punchline.
Yeah, it's wild because the story that we've been telling is we were in this band called A Day in the Life, and I was kind of over it. I met Nikki. We were getting serious, and it's like, man, I should go back to school because, playing in a local band a couple of times a month is no reason to be working at a gas station. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like it was going anywhere. We weren't sending music away. It just kind of felt like I was, bleeding my 20s. And so we take the summer of 2003 to just write music and form the band Hawthorne Heights just for fun and to give it one last shot to send some music away and not play shows, not be worried about rehearsing for shows, just like the ridiculous, mundane portion of it. And, so I was working at a gas station in June of 2003. Album comes out June of 2004. Album goes gold June of 2005. So in 2 years, yeah. So in 2 years, I went from working at a gas station to having a gold record. Your brain cannot process or comprehend that unless you are doing it for the right reasons, because there are so many, absolutely so many pitfalls. There's so many holes that you can fall down, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, like literally what you're supposed to be doing, to be honest with you, if you're if you're in the 70s and 60s.
Yeah, there you go.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's literally, what you're supposed to be doing, but was never caught up in any of that stuff. So like we always just kept our head on straight and focused, and I really think that people rallied behind us because of reasons like that. Like whenever they met us or whatever back at the merch table, I think they related. I think that they like we were joking that, we were going to Warped Tour in 2003 as fans. We were one of the headliners out of nowhere in 2005. And not because we thought we were, because we showed up and they were like, yeah, you're big now.
Right on.
So, we're like, we don't have clothes for this. We brought like basketball shorts and t-shirts to play in, so we're up there dressed like shit. Following us up is Mike Kim. They're wearing freaking bulletproof vests and like full garb. And we're just like, we just look like kids up there. You know what I mean? We look like people that were like down to like just have fun. We're smiling like you're supposed to like put on like a rock and roll mean mug face. And we're like, you can't wipe the smile away. You could have beat the shit out of us on stage and we still would have been smiling. So that like meteoric rise from working at a gas station to being able to do anything but work at a gas station to being offered tour after tour after tour after tour with all bands you love, I will smile to the day I die because of all of that stuff. And like it happens so fast, and sometimes stuff gets taken away from you and you feel like, man, it's over. We never felt like it was over. And we went through a lot of like wild stuff. And I think it's because you went through it with kind of a clear head and a clear heart. You know what I mean? Like you realize that stuff is going to happen. And stuff did happen, but like if you're doing things for the right reasons, you really can get through it. And that's a life metaphor. You know what I mean? Like if you keep your head on straight and try not to like fall down the bad holes and try to self-medicate or like try to search for some sort of feeling to take the pain away, it's hard sometimes. And like we never really did that. We just kind of, we're big about talking, talk your way through it. And we found that it works.
Oh, well, it's inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I need to like pause and soak that in, and we will when we listen back to this. But man, so in all of this, in the whole 20 Years of Tears, there's the Is for Lovers Festival. I think there's 7 or 8 dates interspersed throughout the summer at select cities, Lake Tahoe in West Virginia, Iowa, California. Is that your brainchild, JT?
Yeah. So that's something that I
own
also,
it, JT. You can say, hey, it was me. It was us.
It was us. It was, like, we're weird, man. I'm telling you, we are weird. We're like, what if we could do this? What if we could do this? It doesn't always work out. And I'm not even sure it is working out. But like I said, it's everybody can just do that House of Blues circuit. And that's a great circuit too. But don't you want to like hang out with your friends and like be in a dunk tank and like see the look on fans' faces when they're bringing their kids and stuff like that? That's where Is for Lovers happened. It was like, hey, we're always getting asked to play festivals, and oftentimes the bands really aren't treated that well. And like you're just there, you're playing, and the fans are always great no matter where you play when you play. But like backstage, maybe you get a dressing room for an hour before you play. Maybe you get a couple of snacks on your rider. It's like we wanted to kind of eliminate all that stuff. And it was kind of a pipe dream, and maybe it still is. But we wanted to be like, what if we took all the dressing rooms away? What if we took away everybody's booze? What if we made them sit at circular tables like it's a high school lunchroom? And you're forced to talk again. And you don't have a backstage to get silent in and get in your own head. You don't have a tour bus to do that in. What if we all just hung out like we were 17 again, or 20 again, and stuff like that? And that's kind of the vibe. And we just ask every band that we like. Some can do it, some can't. Some, almost everybody that we've asked has done it at least once. And we think that they've had a good time. But like, yeah, if you go from like growing up listening to the Descendants and they're on your festival, and you watch them from the stage and you had a part bringing them there and choosing them, it's special and it hits different.
Oh, yeah.
And like,
yeah,
watching Jimmy Eat World last year, who's my favorite band in this whole scene, even if they want to be called in this whole scene, but like we asked them to play everything anytime we do anything, and they finally said yes because it was the right timing for them and everything. And it was like we got to, like Nikki bought me Clarity for Valentine's Day in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And I got to watch Jimmy Eat World with her on stage play the songs that our romance started with. You can't fuck with that. That's like real life, like,
and on something you
moments.
create and something you put together.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah.
Right.
It's really hard to like stop and smell the flowers when you're like constantly like working on things and stuff like that. And like the next day you're obviously like you're on cloud 9, but then you're reading comments and fans are like, dude, the California lineup sucks. How come it doesn't have this band? And you're like, dude, if you knew what it took to get all these bands to do everything, to agree to this budget and that budget, like, just come to the show, man. And maybe
just enjoy yourself.
And if it lasts another year, if you're so lucky that it lasts another year, maybe you'll get your favorite band next year. But like, and I think people forget like what Warped Tour was like, and how some years it was a perfect lineup, and how other years it was like maybe it felt like a smaller lineup, but it probably wasn't. But to you, it might have felt like a smaller lineup. ironically and unironically, we cannot book all of your favorite bands in your backyard. If we could, we would be miracle workers. But we're really just trying to be a band that loves emo and loves punk rock and loves, all of this stuff. That's really all we're trying to do.
The work that goes into putting all of that stuff together, I mean, it's wild. And to be able to do it now for a couple of years with Is for Lovers and have it kind of fit into the 20-year tour too is crazy, man. Like that's quite the undertaking. You're gonna be busy. You're gonna be having a good time seeing a lot of different people this summer.
Yeah, definitely. And like this, if we can make it through this summer, we can make it through anything. Because the thing that we were personally complaining about last summer with the Is for Lovers shows was that we had to keep flying into them instead of enjoying the day before and the day after.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we're like always flying in, and we have to carry all of this stuff with us, whether it be our own gear, all the merch, all the tents, everything to like make it a good time, because we don't want to like, what are we going to tell the fans? Hey, dude, it was another $60 a bag. Sorry, we didn't bring anything cool this year. You know what I mean? Like, so our whole vibe was, can we route a tour around it? And I'm not sure that it's better because it makes it monumental. You know what I mean? It makes it 3.5 months long, because the first one starts June 22nd. The last one is September 10th or something like that. And like, you are meandering the United States in the weirdest, craziest cities sometimes, because you're playing 7 major markets on your own tour or on your own festivals. And then you got When We Were Young that you're also on. We're also doing Summerfest in Milwaukee. We're doing Aftershock in Sacramento. So we also have other festivals that we love as well. So it became an atlas of misery there for a minute, because we're like, dude, and we're not bands that like, we don't like to take days off either. We would if we can play a show, we will play a show, whether that means, the smallest market in the world or whatever. Emo over the past 20 years is apparently the biggest genre in the world, because you go up and doctors are coming up to you, dude, I used to listen to you during residency. It's like hilarious.
Yeah.
And it felt so small back then. You know what I mean? So like, that's the hardest thing, is trying to figure out where you can play, and you got to stay away from places. And it ended up being 3.5 months. And if we, like I said, if we can make it through that, if our wives can make it through that, if our manager, booking agent, our crew can make it through that, I think we've earned the right for 2025 to be kind of light.
Agreed. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, 2 things. The first is, you said earlier that to stay in the game this long, you have to love it. So to put on a fest like this, you have to love it or be batshit crazy. So I don't know, you're on one end of this.
Both.
You could be
both.
both.
Think it's both. Yeah. I think it has to be both, because I mean, when you're doing a festival and you're like literally out there doing it and working it, it's a 15-hour day, and you are torched physically, mentally, everything about it. So like, I just remember like when we were growing up, seeing Kevin Lyman like riding around on his bike with his headset on and like putting out fires nonstop every day. And like, I know that all of us as like dumb little bands were like, how come we got to play at 12:30 today? Or like whatever, like that. Yeah. When you think about everything else that he's dealing with, that is just so small. And like, now you get it. You totally understand, like, hey man, the fire marshal might be there, or, the security might have breached or something. You have no idea. And it's like, now you understand, it's like, you're trying to keep everything like really chill and really calm and trying to enjoy it. That's the only thing that you want to do. And you want to make sure that it comes with a little bit of a different mystique with us, because we want our friends to be happy. Like almost all these bands, like we've been playing with forever. So it's like, we don't want them to be like, oh, Hawthorne Heights didn't take care of us, or Hawthorne Heights like dropped the ball on this, or something like that. It's like, it comes with a little bit of self-inflicted pressure at the same time. But it's like we said, you literally cannot complain about even having the opportunity to do this, if it fails, most do. You know what I mean? Even the biggest ones in the
It's true.
world struggle. Even like a festival like Riot Fest, which is run by just an awesome team, killing it every single year. Everybody's complaining about them and jumping on their back that it takes so long for them to release their lineup. Well, they're putting together an incredible 3-day like festival every year after year. If you only knew what it took to like get confirmations out of bands that are working around so much stuff, whether it be family stuff, at this point, kids' birthdays, sicknesses, like tons of stuff. Like if you only knew that it takes a long time because it should take a long time. And like just trust. If you want to go, you should go. That's the hardest part about all this. And like the internet has only corrupted
for sure.
everybody because like can you imagine, like shouldn't we be able to order our festival lineup on Amazon by now?
Right.
Is that an actual comment?
Someday.
No, but
someday we'll do that.
That's next. So we created 20 Years of Tears, and then we created Is for Lovers. Next, we're going to create overnight delivery of festival lineups via Amazon.
Free 2-day shipping, baby.
Yes. Emo Prime. You heard it here first.
Copyright right now. We're copyrighting that. Yeah.
Yeah.
JT, whose idea was calling this festival Is for Lovers? Don't say you. Was it you?
It was him.
It was us. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it was definitely us. And like we were thinking about it because it started with Ohio Is for Lovers, right? We had a really good team that kind of wanted to do it at Riverbend, a place that we grew up loving, and also with Live Nation. So it's like a co-promotion type thing run by great people. And so, it started off naturally, Ohio Is for Lovers. And then other people started to hear that we were booking it kind of behind the scenes, and they were coming to us and be like, hey, what do you think about, Colorado Is for Lovers? Or what do you think about Hawaii Is for Lovers? And we're like, fucking awesome. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Oh, man, baby.
Can we put it together? I don't know. But yeah, it just made sense because, it could have been anything. And like, we wanted it to feel like it was ours, and that like we only planned to do Ohio Is for Lovers. That's why it was called that to start with, because obviously it makes sense, being where we're from, being our song. It's like just a beautiful connection to the area, everything like that. And then we were like, wait a minute, other cities are asking us to do this, and other cities love singing Ohio Is for Lovers as much as people in Ohio do. So let's see how far this goes. Let's, like the big thing is trying to find the right partners who share your vision and like want it to be a certain price so you don't have to like kind of soak your fans. And yeah, so you just want it to feel right and for them to understand like your legacy in all of this, because that's big to us. We don't want to, even if it fails, we don't want it to fail because of decisions we made. Like, oh, it failed because people got hurt, or people felt taken advantage of, or the bands didn't have a good time, or the fans didn't have a good time, like stuff like that. Like those are all controllables. You want to make sure that you can control the things that are within your power. That's really our only goal. And it started in Ohio. It'll probably end in Ohio. That's kind of the whole thing. And it's poetic and it's romantic. And I think that's one of the things that kind of keeps you here after 20 years is that you still have a romance to all of this. I think it's because I grew up watching 80s movies, man, to be honest with you. Like my favorite movie is Stand By Me.
Yep.
Oh, great movie.
Like if you watch the movie Stand By Me and can't think of everything in terms of cinematics, like it's our generation. It's our problem. We grew up watching Back to the Future. We just have so much adventure. The Goonies. We have so much adventure in us that like, I think that's why we're so like fun and creative. And our parents, most of our parents kind of weren't there for us because they're like boomers and they don't really like, they love us, but they don't care. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, we're out like skateboarding, breaking our ankles and stuff and being idiots. Yeah, let's create a music festival fun.
Well, I love that through all this. I mean, you guys, And for some bands in we'll call it the scene are bigger now than ever. You've remained super humble, and you're not even headlining. You're not headlining the Is for Lovers festival dates, which is like that was one of the first things that jumped out. I was like, a lot of people, if they were going to put something on, they'd want to be the centerpiece of it, and that's yeah. It all comes back to passion and love for the music, I think, with you guys.
Yeah, for us, like I said, it's about being careful, cautious stewards of a genre and of a music scene that we love, that we grew up going to shows in, that we grew up playing shows in. So you got to take the ego out of it. And I wouldn't consider us headlining California this summer. We're playing last, but any of these bands could play last in Los Angeles, California. Everybody's had a beautiful, wonderful career there. It's a great music scene. But yeah, like I'm never going to look at the Descendants or Jimmy Eat World and be like, all right, boys, we're over top you. Good luck. Yeah. These are my favorite bands. To be honest with you, let me play at 3:00 so I can like go hang out with them and then just enjoy their set. So like,
time's up, boys. We're on. Yeah.
That's exactly how it is. And like, yeah, most of these people we grew up with, and like, they're just awesome. Like if you can last 20 years and you're not like getting back together specifically for an anniversary or something like that, I have nothing but respect for you, because it's hard. Not only is the music industry itself hard because it's unforgiving, there's like peaks and valleys, and you hope that there's more peaks than valleys, but 20 years is a long, long time in terms of trends and in terms of phases and in terms of age. So the fact that anybody finds anything relevant about any of these bands speaks to the art that they've all created. So anybody that is still here doing it with a smile on their face, I will 100% want them to be on our festival. I will always want to play shows with them. And because you're only really here if you want to be 20 years in. You know what I mean? Like if you want to be here, you'll find a way. All these bands have found a way. And some bands are still putting out like what I consider to be incredible music.
Totally.
Yep. Like the new Taking Back Sunday record is
awesome.
Absolutely
52.
Awesome.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's what I would want from them now. 100%.
Exactly. It might not sound like Tell All Your Friends, but should it?
No, it shouldn't.
They went down a lot of roads since then. They've had a long, lovely career. And I just think they're a great example of artists who play music for the sake of doing it and putting on a good show and bringing swagger and persona to the music scene. I think is awesome. That new Thursday song that they just released a couple of weeks back.
So good.
Jeff's in his bag. He's
100%. Like you listen to that stuff and I'm just like, dude, it's so awesome. The new Bayside record, they never stop.
Oh, yeah.
They never miss a beat. They do not drop the ball. So some of these bands, you're just like, I know why you're here. You're here because you deserve to be. Whether you thought you would be is a different story. But man, all these bands are they're putting out great music, and it's so good to see. It's so incredible to see them up there on a stage smiling. And you're just like, dude, like early on, there's a little bit of competitive nature. Why didn't we get this? Why didn't we get that? Or, are we bigger than them? We should be, like whatever that stuff is. That's all like early 20s bravado, just, everybody wants their piece. Now you're just like, hell yeah, get up there and do it, man. I want to watch you play. You're awesome. And I think that's kind of why we're good at doing what we do, which is taking a step back from the situation a bit too, and being like, how can we get this band on the festival this year because they fit with this band and they fit with that band and stuff like that? What do we got to do to get it done? That sort of thing. And like trying to maintain a level head and stuff like that. Because if you try to come in any situation hot, it's going to be a difficult road for you.
Well, you're all still going. You're all still doing it at a high level. The big tour with Is for Lovers folded into it is such an undertaking, and I'm jealous and also I'm looking out for you. I'm worried that it's a long, man, you're going to have a long summer, but it's going to be a fun one for you. You'll be smiling up there every night, I'm sure. So pretty cool stuff,
Heck
man.
yeah.
I'm stoked for what's going on.
Yeah, it's going to be a banger. And if you guys want to come up to old Bangor, Maine, I got your tickets.
Banger.
Nice.
I've never been to Bangor, Maine.
No,
Yeah, I've never been
casino
there.
across the street.
Nice. We've always single-handedly stopped in Portland. That's always been enough for us. But I'm a big Stephen King fan, so I'm going to go by and see his damn house, and I'm going to live my best life when I'm in Bangor. So I'm excited about it. But yeah, I will gladly cover your tickets. Get your asses up there, hang out, have a good time.
Road trip, Anthony. Road trip.
Hey, if the seed is planted in enough time, I can find a sitter.
Let's plant that seed right now in late May.
Damn right. Come back, do the podcast backstage.
Ooh.
Oh, let's do it.
Now you're speaking my language.
All right, that was the tipping point.
Yeah, all right.
Hey, now it's a tax write-off. Get your asses
There you go.
Yeah. Heck yeah. But yeah, you guys are totally welcome to. If you want to go up there and talk to some bands and stuff like that and just have a good time and reminisce and stuff, you guys are 100%
Hell yeah.
down to do it.
That'd be
Love
awesome.
it.
Yeah, JT, when we found out we had an opportunity to chat with you, we were super stoked because if you think about bands from the early 2000s, sure, there's a lot that have stayed around. There's some that have gotten bigger. Most never stuck around, and maybe for good reason, right? We don't know all those reasons, but you guys have defied physics. You've defied physics, and it's exciting to watch and to have like this be the culmination. It's pretty cool because not a lot of bands kind of get to this point. So
yeah, well, thank you very much for all the kind words. And obviously, we pride ourselves on being the world's best band with a reformed gas station employee as the lead singer.
Nice.
JT, this was a real pleasure. Like I said, when we knew we were going to chat with you, we were super excited, just given the history, the trajectory of the band, and you guys are still here, and man, it's inspiring.
Oh yeah, but seriously, thanks for all the kind words. Thanks for the wonderful conversation. I'll look back at memory lane. I don't talk about the Big Easy in Portland, Maine very often.
Yeah.
But yeah, I absolutely love anytime we get to talk. And Anthony and Tony, you guys are part of the museum. You guys are keeping all of these memories alive for all the fans and all the bands as well. Keep doing what you're doing because it's absolutely urgent. It's absolutely important. And it's 100% a snapshot into the most important time in people's lives. So keep doing it.
Man, that filled my bucket tonight. I'll tell you that.
Me too. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, JT.
Of course.
Thank you for listening to Podioslave. We are at Podioslave on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the places that you can find us on social media. Facebook, Podioslave Podcast. YouTube, Podioslave Podcast there. Email us at podioslavepodcast@gmail.com. And hey, if you want to become a supporter, click on the link at the bottom of the episode and give us $1, give us $5. It keeps the lights on, keeps us going. We really appreciate that stuff. Thank you.